Hello everyone. In the next 20 minutes, we're going to take you through our case study about how ITV got Britain talking about mental health. First, we'll quickly introduce ourselves. I'm Claire Phillips and I'm Director of Social Purpose at ITV, and this is...
Hi, I'm Catherine Peacock. I'm Managing Partner at Uncommon Creative Studio.
So before we talk through our campaign, it's important to understand that this is part of ITV's social purpose, which is core to what ITV is all about. So ITV brand is defined as more than TV. By that we mean we connect with millions of people in ways that go beyond linear channels. We make programs that move people, and we inspire change by reflecting and shaping culture. Reflecting and shaping culture is something that ITV does in our programming every day. So whether it's talking about breast cancer in The Real Full Monty, domestic violence in Corrie, loneliness in Good Morning Britain, there are lots of issues that we tackle in our shows, but historically we'd lacked a focus. So in 2019, the social purpose team was created and we set about developing a 5-year strategy to shape culture for good. And as part of this, we wanted to identify a flagship cause that we could all get behind, a cause where we could make a significant difference. We also wanted to identify a cause that wasn't divorced from our business and our brand strategy. And as you all know, TV has undergone a huge upheaval recently, with new competitors with incredibly deep pockets. So we needed to build brand relevance with young audiences in particular, and we knew that finding the right cause would help with this. 3/4 of young people feel more favourable to brands that make a positive difference. So we spent time working out what was the most meaningful and the most relevant cause that we could talk about, and we landed on mental health. So why mental health? Mental health is something that we all have. It's something that we all need to take care of. It's also a massive issue. Severe mental illness is on the rise. It's been on the rise since the early 90s. And it's also tragically a huge issue amongst children. And this research was taken even before the pandemic, and since COVID, it's got even worse. So ITV has a history of tackling health issues through its shows, particularly soaps and daytime, and it's something that we know our audience is interested in. And 3 years ago, the issue of mental health was kind of on the edge of becoming a mainstream topic. ITV is a brand that sits at the heart of popular culture, and so we identified mental health as being a cause that we could usefully take from the kind of edge of culture right through to the mainstream. But we wanted to talk about mental health, but through a different lens, with a different angle. So mental health was a cause, but we wanted a more distinctive approach. And we looked at what campaigns had taken place in the market. Charities had started to tackle the issue of mental health in the last few years, but the campaigns were focused on raising awareness primarily, and often centred on severe ill health. We wanted to tackle the issue in a new way. So we did this in 3 ways. We wanted to reframe mental health from being a difficult and negative subject to reframe it to being from illness to talk about wellness. We also wanted to reframe it from being something that was unusual, something that we only talk about when it's relevant and it's already a problem, to something that we need to think about every day. And lastly, we wanted to talk about it as something that affects us. Too often we think about mental health as something that happens to other people and not something that happens to me and my family. So we were also very keen that this campaign prompted action and didn't just raise awareness. And ITV and television, in fact, is particularly good at changing behaviour. And we wanted a campaign that didn't just raise awareness, but it changed action. But in order to identify the action that we wanted people to take, we looked at the 5 proven actions that are set out to build mental health, build mental wellness and build mental health resilience. And these are connecting, talking and listening with other people, being active, taking notice. It's really about mindfulness, keeping on learning, and also giving back through volunteering. We decided that connecting would be the right thing for ITV to talk about. And that's because ITV is really a TV campfire. It's one of those brands that brings us all together. It creates talking points across the generations. So we set out a 5-year campaign to improve the nation's mental health. And in year 1, we focused on connecting as families. There's this clear tension that exists that whilst we've never been more connected, we're not talking as much as we need to. And we know from research that talking and listening builds mental health resilience. So we had identified a clear mission, which was to get families talking.
And creatively, we were looking for a way to really disrupt, to be bold with this purpose. And we wanted to reach our audience with families, teenagers, children. And who better to turn to than the biggest family entertainment show in the country, Britain's Got Talent. We knew that if we could disrupt the final with Ant and Dec, we'd have the best chance of being heard, making a difference and really driving that behaviour change. So as we'll go on to show you, we essentially paused that show for 2 minutes of total silence in peak viewing. We wanted to create that sort of awkward space, even if people sort of said, what's this all about? To really kind of create a conversation, to quite literally tune back into the story in their living room. So if we could play the case study film, please.
Having anxiety is probably one of the most lonely, most isolating things to have.
Parents aren't spending enough quality time with their children, with some going days without proper interaction.
The average UK family spends only 30 minutes a day together.
I think that's what I find more scary.
People are feeling bad about themselves. And we need to talk. That's half the healing. We need to talk.
ITV launched a new mental health wellbeing campaign tonight, and in unusual fashion, on Britain's Got Talent with Ant and Dec.
Welcome back to the final of Britain's Got Talent.
Oh, Britain's Got Talent. I love this. I love this.
It's the final! So, right now, we're going to try something that's never been done before. It's called Britain Get Talking.
It's so important for our mental well-being to remember to get together and talk.
And to help Britain Get Talking, we're going to pause this show. In 3, 2, 1.
And we're back. Wasn't hard, was it?
Wasn't that hard?
So, tune back into the story in your development.
Maybe it does you good to say things. There's a lot of the time you don't, do you?
Anxiety and depression in children
Has risen by 48%.
Since 2004.
But talking together
And listening
can build our mental wellness.
This is all part of ITV's new mental wellness campaign, Britain Get Talking.
There is no harm in telling someone how you're feeling.
Talking can make the biggest difference.
Love you, girls.
I'm Amanda Holden, and I want to stop and take a few seconds to talk to you about mental health.
I think the answer is half an hour having a really important conversation with your kids.
And I'm backing ITV's Britain Get Talking.
Britain Get Talking.
Get Talking.
Great, and so as just shown in that film we just played, beyond Britain's Got Talent, the full channel from every commissioning genre got behind the campaign. It tapped into such a truth that the nation were really grappling with, that Teachers spontaneously took it upon themselves to write assemblies and set homework tasks around the subject matter. And we know from all the data and tracking that we did, in that exact moment when we aired Britain's Got Talent, 2.8 million adults turned to their children to start a conversation. So our reach and level of disruption meant that almost overnight, Britain Get Talking became the UK's most recognised mental health campaign. And we also know that just from that moment, 4.5 million adults said that they'd make an effort to speak with their children more. I think perhaps more interestingly, given the brand challenges that ITV face, actually 1 in 3 said, well, we've got an improved opinion of ITV now. And even 1 in 10 said that they'd watch us more as a result. And we haven't stopped since. So when COVID hit in March, we were in the middle of preparing a totally unique campaign for May, but we decided to scrap that and make sure that we were really relevant in the moment, knowing the unprecedented levels of anxiety the nation would be facing. So we launched a brand new campaign at the end of Saturday Night Takeaway with Ant and Dec, literally that weekend prior to the country going into lockdown. And more recently, given how hard hit our mental health helplines have been, we've been running a fundraiser to generate as much cash as we can to help our helplines. And that's an ongoing initiative right now for ITV. Again, all of this activity allowed us to kind of maintain this title as the UK's most recognised mental health campaign. We know that through our COVID response, 6.4 million people in just a matter of weeks sent thousands of text messages, phone calls, etc., just direct prompted by what they were seeing on our campaign. And 93% of the country felt that this was the right thing to be doing. I think perhaps even more interestingly, however, as we're looking to develop social purpose comms, we know, particularly in the instance of ITV, they can have a disproportionate impact on success. So, for example, as well as generating all this fantastic behaviour change, actually they have the capacity to really drive a lot of noise and recognition within our industry. And all of this stuff pays back heavily to the brand. Now, we know we haven't got long, and rather than keep talking about what we've been up to and the nature of our success, actually what we wanted to do is kind of pull apart 5 key learnings for you that we think that regardless of the industry that you work in, you might be able to borrow from Britain Get Talking when you're developing your own purposeful communications.
So the first one is authenticity. It's putting your head above the parapet and taking a stand on anything is risky, but it's foolish to take a stand on a cause if your commitment to that is inauthentic. We couldn't embark upon helping the nation improve its mental health unless we'd had our own house in order too. So we'd established a new duty of care process for our productions and our programmes. And we set up a mental health advisory group chaired by a chief exec with the chief execs of Mind and Young Minds, and Paul Litchfield, who's the UK's leading expert on workforce wellbeing. We've engaged in a 5-year commitment with Mind because we know that behaviour change is hard and it's going to take time. We're not in the business of doing a one-off short-term project. We really, really want to make a difference. The charities we work with, Mind, Young Minds, SAMH, who are the equivalent of Mind in Scotland, review every single piece of communications we put out. We consult them from the initial idea development right through to the detail of our execution, ensuring that when we do talk about this subject, we talk about the issue sensitively and accurately, and we borrow from their expertise.
And when it comes to making a difference, why do anything by halves? So we've always challenged ourselves to be really bold, really brave and ambitious with our creative ideas. We've actively chased down fame, and our goal is to make mental wellness, exactly as Claire said at the start, an everyday habit, something that we all proactively take care of as much as we do our physical health. So we didn't really feel that we could achieve any of those goals quietly. And as we've already shown you in the case study film, our launch campaign was highly disruptive. It was weird and it was sometimes a little uncomfortable, but there was absolutely no way that you could miss it. And to fall silent in 6 minutes of peak TV time on Saturday night is quite unheard of. It's quite literally the antithesis of what feels like the right thing to do. We're in the business of entertaining. So not only did we have the moment in Britain's Got Talent, actually we extended that out to something that could really create that space in people's homes by taking over the whole of the commercial break. We ran a campaign film that showed that the entire channel of all genres was behind the issue. And then we also did a UK first with 5 advertisers to create a silent ad break, which we filmed for the moment. And that allowed us to really extend this creative idea as far as we can. And we're going to go on to play a film in a second, but for our COVID campaign, Anton Deck on Saturday Night Takeaway said, look, we're going to commit to broadcasting as many messages as we possibly can from the general public over the coming weeks. That can be anything that you want to say, be it a thank you, I love you, I miss you, I'm sorry I'm not with you on your birthday, whatever it is, we will broadcast it. And this is just one of the many kind of compilation films that we ran during that period. And we want to show you it because it really does give you a sense of the campaign spirit creatively. So if we can press play, that would be fab, thank you.
Ooh, I'm on the telly.
Hi everybody.
Hi Mum, it's me.
Obviously, right now, it's not the right thing to come visit you.
I just want to send my love.
So does that one, making all the noise at the back.
Just want to say,
we're thinking of you all the time.
I love you very, very much. And a virtual hug
to anybody that doesn't have a 4-legged friend.
We need each other now more than we've ever needed each other.
Fallen relatives and loved ones.
Call people who might be on their own.
When you're talking to someone you love, it's kind of difficult to be unhappy.
So I just want to say thank you to the wonderful NHS staff.
The heroic doctors
and carers.
Who's looking after people like my dad.
And saving people's lives.
You are fabulous.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To all the teachers, the supermarket workers.
All the brilliant office staff.
All key workers.
All the unsung heroes.
And I thank them from the bottom of my heart.
And everyone else out there who's
keeping the country going.
Gordon.
Start again.
Be good, be generous.
And let's stay connected.
Because everybody needs everybody right now.
We are all in this together.
You're not alone.
Pick up the phone.
Keep communicating.
Stay strong.
We are going to get through this.
Lockdown ain't going to keep us down.
So come on, Britain.
Get talking.
Get talking!
Because after every storm,
So for us, that kind of go big or go home was really about the scale of the commitment behind this campaign. So we ended up featuring over 300 members of the public. We had 100 celebrities. We created 250 plus films. Actually, in that Easter weekend when we were all locked up before, we actually ran 170 ads alone in that time. So it was really about being inclusive, showing our talent, our public all together in one moment, and we generously gave it as much airtime as we possibly could.
So the third learning is about using all of your brand assets. It's important to get creative beyond the obvious marketing channels. We've created lots of TV, social media and print campaigns for Britain Get Talking, but we've also developed a culture where we try to influence every aspect of our business beyond just the advertising. For example, we updated the channel identity throughout the pandemic. These are the break bumpers that start and finish every single commercial break with Britain Get Talking, clearly there. You couldn't turn on the telly, couldn't turn on ITV, without seeing Britain Get Talking. In the top left-hand corner is what we call the dog. It's a digital on-screen graphic, and it's a constant reminder whenever you are watching, whatever you are watching, that this is what ITV stands for. Beyond the channel identity, we also worked with the commercial sales team at ITV. Catherine in particular spearheaded this work. We created 2 unique brand partnerships with advertisers, Just Eat and Talk Talk, to spread the message that it's important to talk together. We also work with every genre in commissioning, plus we built internal comms and we work with HR. The learning here really is to embrace all the departments in your company, engage them in the purpose and see what's possible to make the ideas bigger and travel further. Beyond ads, which suppliers are you working with and what can you do in store and what can you change?
And be flexible and reactive, right? So we always want our social purpose to be meaningful. And for us in this particularly challenging year, that meant kind of adapting our tone and being really sensitive in the moment. And I often kind of laugh about this because I vividly remember back in March being immensely stressed about the some 8 weeks I had to go to get our May Mental Health Awareness Week campaign live. And then I suddenly found myself in this crazy week where we were developing something new completely from scratch and in under a week's turnaround. But really our messaging needed to evolve because the campaign we were creating for May was all about creating space in your busy schedule, finding the time to reach out and have those conversations with loved ones that maybe you were constantly putting on the back burner. Well, of course, that felt entirely irrelevant when we were all stuck in our homes, kind of freaking out, not knowing what was next. So for us, we really wanted to be sensitive there. We were also really worried about people that might be in lockdown, living on their own, might be really grappling with loneliness. So again, you know, we wanted to do something big and bold, but we had to completely challenge ourselves to rewrite all of our messaging. And finally, I mean, we're both here today, right, as agency and client in that classic relationship, because we truly believe that Britain Get Talking has only been possible because of our collaborative partnership. No one made anything truly brilliant on their own. And I think what's really remarkable about this initiative, as Claire just touched on, right, we actually work with every single department at ITV. We closely collaborate with talent. You know, Ant and Dec, I think, would probably feel like they really own this themselves as their campaign. And I guess we just encourage you guys to be really generous with your purpose, articulate it well internally, and invite everybody in to have a part of it. Because for us, as we go on to make new things, we now know that we can we've already got a whole bunch of people that are excited about what we're doing, that have worked with us before, and it allows us to kind of say, come on, let's go again. So yeah, we truly encourage that. And so in summary, these are the 5 kind of key things that we wanted you guys to take away. Authenticity, commit to your purpose, make it worthwhile, make it meaningful, especially if behavior change is at the heart of it. We all know that can't happen overnight. You know, actually embrace the expertise around the subject matter, really give it credibility. Go big or go home, chase those famous opportunities down, but do it in a way that uses all of your brand assets. Think about how far you can push that, and that can be beyond just the obvious advertising mediums that are in front of us. Be flexible, react, make sure your message is culturally relevant and appropriate. And yes, definitely build a collaborative partnership where you feel like everyone can share in the success. So we know that we've had to go very quickly and there's a lot we had to show you today. So I'm afraid we don't have any time for questions, but we did want to offer out our email addresses to you guys, because if there's anything that you've seen here today that you want to interrogate further or ask us how we got there, we'd be more than happy to take your questions. So yes, please feel free to get in touch with us.